Hello guys, Death here. I wanted to talk to you today about an alternative to the Nexus Mod Manager called Mod Organizer. This tutorial is for mod users of all levels and will cover Mod Organizer installation, mod installation, and features that will be used on a more regular basis for users of the Nexus community. Now, before getting too deep into the tutorial, I want to discuss some of the key differences between Nexus Mod Manager and Mod Organizer. Many of you are familiar with the Nexus Mod Manager and have probably been using it for quite some time. Not only is it the official mod handling tool of the Nexus community, but it is also extremely user-friendly and geared towards beginning modders who will be using a small mod list. That being said, Nexus Mod Manager does have its downsides. There is a mod limit cap of approximately 250, and while this will not be a problem for most mod users, it can become a problem for dedicated modders who want to incorporate more than 250 mods into their load order. Mod Organizer does not have such a limit. In fact, it is estimated to be able to handle as many as 8,000 BSAs at once. Another downside to using Nexus Mod Manager is the fact that it installs mod files directly into the Skyrim data folder. Normally this is not a problem. However, inexperience can lead to issues such as major game crashing, corrupted save game data, and a corrupted Skyrim folder, which can inevitably lead to having to uninstall Skyrim completely and do a fresh clean install of the game just to get it working properly again, and this is something that nobody wants. Mod Organizer handles mod installation very differently compared to the Nexus Mod Manager. It does not install mod files directly into the Skyrim folder. It instead uses a virtual filing system which closely resembles the Skyrim data structure. Not only does this keep your Skyrim folder clean, but it also provides more stability, security, and control to the mod user. Now that you are familiar with some of the key differences between these two programs, let's move on to installation. Installing Mod Organizer is fairly easy and straightforward. There are two methods of installation. There is an automatic installer, which will install it into a program folder or a folder of your choice, and also a manual installer. The current version is 0.12.6. Mod Organizer will handle most file types. However, there are some mods that Mod Organizer cannot handle alone. For that, you have your optional file down here, NCC, version 0.2.2. A short description underneath the file header states that it allows Mod Organizer the installation of faux mods. Whether you choose to use the automatic installer or the method of manually installing, you are still going to need NCC in order to install faux mods. Once you have your files downloaded, move them over to a folder on your desktop so that you can go to the manual installation method and your NCC file and extract them with an extraction tool such as WinRAR or 7-zip. The automatic installer, I gave a brief description of that earlier. It's pretty self-explanatory and it shouldn't cause any troubles. The method I will be showing is the manual installation. Since Mod Organizer does not install any files for any mods into the Skyrim folder, it does not really matter where you install Mod Organizer. It could be on your desktop, it could be inside of the Skyrim folder itself, or it could be on a different hard drive. For simplicity's sake, I'm going to show how to install it into the Skyrim folder. I have mine installed inside of Program Files x86, Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Skyrim, as I have UAC turned off. Whenever you extract the file from Mod Organizer, you will see a single folder that contains several other folders, DLL files, and a couple of executables. To install it into the Skyrim folder, you simply drag the entire Mod Organizer folder that you extracted earlier and place it into Skyrim. Once Mod Organizer is in place, go to where you extracted your NCC file. Once again, you will see that a single folder was extracted, with several other folders and DLL files inside of it. Just as you moved the entire Mod Organizer folder earlier, you want to do the same with NCC. and where you'll place it is inside of the Mod Organizer folder. I will give you a word of warning. Do not take these folders and vials in the NCC folder and place them inside a Mod Organizer. That will cause all kinds of problems, and it will come back to haunt you in the long run. Once you have the NCC folder inside of your Mod Organizer folder, activate the Mod Organizer executable, and it will bring up two windows. The first window is Message of the Day, which simply gives the version of Mod Organizer 12.6, which is correct, and it will give some other useful information. Just simply read over it and click OK. The second window is saying that you are starting Mod Organizer for the first time, and it is asking the user if he or she wants to go through a simple tutorial that comes with Mod Organizer. You could choose to do so if you want. In fact, I highly recommend doing so because it will help you get a little bit of hands-on experience using the tool. I'm not going to show you the tutorial though because it is straightforward and self-explanatory, and I will be showing you all the features myself anyway. Once Mod Organizer is open, you will see three main windows. The top window has your toolbar functions, which will allow you to customize Mod Organizer. The left pane is your profile pane, which contains your character profiles, and also your mod list. Any installed mods will show up here, which will allow you to activate or deactivate them for your separate profiles. Your right pane is your plugin window. Once you activate a mod that contains a plugin, you will come here and use the ESP and BSA tabs to activate the ESP and BSAs for that mod. And the other tabs have various other features which I will explain in just a couple minutes. Before installing a mod, I recommend getting a custom with the toolbar functions at the top. You'll notice 6 buttons on the left and 3 buttons on the right. The first button on the right is a triangle. If it glows orange, that means there is a problem with Mod Organizer. It will explain in short what the problem is, and if it can, it will provide a solution to the problem. The second button is an update button for Mod Organizer. If there is an update available, and it can be updated through the main window, then this will be highlighted. Simply click on this, and it will update Mod Organizer for you. The third button is a help button. If you happen to find a problem with Mod Organizer and want to report a bug, or if you simply have a feature that you want to request or recommend for Mod Organizer, then click on the Help button and click on Report Issue. It will take you to a bug tracker page. Simply log in and state the problem, and the creator of Mod Organizer will take a look at it and see what he can do. The first button on the left allows you to manually install a mod from anywhere on your computer. The second button allows you to go to the Nexus page through the Mod Organizer browser. This works just as if you were using your external browser. You can go to the Nexus through the Mod Organizer browser and download and install mods. The third button is a configuration tool for profiles. If you click on this, it'll bring up a profile window which will allow you to create profiles, or copy a profile, or remove a profile. I will go ahead and create a new profile for myself. Once you highlight a profile, you will see at the bottom 2 boxes: Local Save Games and Automatic Archive and Validation. If you want specific save game files to be connected to a specific profile so that you do not get save games mixed up between profiles, I recommend clicking on this. This is useful if you are using separate characters for separate profiles. Automatic Archive and Validation, I recommend checking that as well. What profiles allow you to do is to basically set up a separate mod list for each profile. You can have 100 mods installed, but not all of those mods will apply to the same profiles. My default profile could have 75 of those mods attached to it, and then I could change to my Death Nico 11 profile, and it will have all the mods. I will show better how this works in a little while.
The fourth button is an executable configurator. This allows the user to define which executables are kickstarted by Mod Organizer. This is important because Mod Organizer needs a way to tell the executable what sort of data is handled by the program. For example, if Skyrim is launched through Mod Organizer, then it will load any of the installed mods with a profile selected. However, if you launch Skyrim outside of Mod Organizer, then it would essentially launch in a vanilla state, or with whatever is installed directly into the data folder. Clicking on this button brings up a small window. Modify executables. As you can see, I already have detected by Mod Organizer SKSE, Skyrim, and Creation Kit. To add a new executable, click on the Browse File System button beside Binary, and then select the directory for the executable desired. Once Binary is set, add a name for it in the title bar, and then click Add. Once an executable has been added, you can select it to modify any of the related settings. Be sure to press the Modify button whenever you change a setting in order to save it, and then click OK. Another way to add or modify executables is to click on the Executable tab and then click on the Edit button, which will bring up the same window. As you may have noticed, Boss has been added to my Executables tab. In order to run an executable through Mod Organizer, simply click on this tab, select the executable desired, and then click on the Run button. The fifth button in the Toolbar section has two functions: an Any Editor and a Nexus Mod Manager import. The Any Editor is extremely important because Mod Organizer uses its own set of Any pages for Skyrim.ini and SkyrimPress.ini. It will not touch the Any files in the Skyrim folder, so if you make any changes to the Any files here, that will apply to Mod Organizer only. However, for the safety of your save game, it is still a good idea to do some research and make sure you know what you're doing before making any changes here. Once changes are made to either page, click the Save button. The Nexus Mod Manager import is still a work in progress. It basically allows you to import mods over from Nexus Mod Manager to Mod Organizer. However, it's not 100% functional yet. As you can see, I have one mod installed through Nexus Mod Manager. So if I wanted to import the mod, I would select it and then click Next. A window will come up explaining 3 different ways you can move mods from Nexus Mod Manager to Mod Organizer, and it will tell you which one is the safest method as well. The intention of this feature is to eventually be able to import all mods at once from Nexus Mod Manager to Mod Organizer with no fuss and hassle from the user. However, this feature is barely tested, as stated in the window. The mod author is asking all new users of Mod Organizer to test this feature out and see how it works, and to give any useful feedback to the mod author so that he can further troubleshoot this option and try and iron out any bugs to make it work better in future updates. The sixth and final button in Mod Organizer is your settings. At the top you can see 5 tabs: General, Installer, Nexus, Plugins, and Workarounds. The General tab has fairly basic functions. There's a bar that will let you choose the language for Mod Organizer. And there are also 2 styles to choose from: None, which is the standard white background with black text. And there's also a dark background, which, as you can see, changes the overall look of Mod Organizer. However, for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to keep it on None. There's a log level with debug, info, and error options. And if you check the Advanced button, it will allow you to change the download directory, mod directory, and catch directory of your log files. The next button down is to reset dialogues, which resets stored information from dialogues, and then the button at the bottom allows the user to configure mod categories. This function can be useful if the user wants to change preloaded categories or wants to add new categories for the various mods installed through Mod Organizer. The Installer tab has 2 options dealing with mod installation. Enable Quick Install should already be checked. and as noticed through the pop-up, this is actually recommended. The second one is self-explanatory. Prefer integrated FOMod installer. If checked, this allows Mod Organizer to control installation of FOMods. The Nexus tab allows Mod Organizer to handle login and mod-related information from the Nexus. At the top, you'll see a button that says Automatically Log into Nexus. Simply activate this, and then put in your Nexus username and password, as I will do now. And it will allow you to log into the Nexus through Mod Organizer. Two buttons at the bottom are Handle IndexM links and Prefer External Browser. The first one, Handle IndexM links, allows Mod Organizer to handle Nexus mod links. Activate this in order for Mod Organizer to download links that you click on through the Nexus. The second one, Prefer External Browser, will allow you to use your preferred browser on your computer for certain browser functions available with Mod Organizer. This is up to user discretion. If leaving the box unchecked, then any function allowing Mod Organizer to access the Nexus will use the built-in MO browser. The Plugins tab is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It just shows the plugins and related information that are available for Mod Organizer. And the Workarounds tab is probably best left alone unless you're an advanced user who has a little more than basic knowledge of Mod Organizer. In fact, if you go to Mod Organizer's front page and read the facts section, it actually recommends leaving things such as the load mechanism alone, but some users may find that the default load mechanism will not work 100% for them. So these options are available for those rare cases where somebody may need to use a different load mechanism to get Mod Organizer to function properly for them. Underneath that bar, it shows which version of Nexus Mod Manager you have installed on your computer, a button that allows the user to hide inactive ESPs and ESMs, which basically enforces that inactive ESPs and ESMs are never loaded, and another button that enforces that important plugins, such as Core Master Files, cannot be disabled. Default has this activated, and it is recommended to leave it as so. The final setting allows user to backdate BSAs. A short description can be read in the pop-up window. When all settings are adjusted as preferred, click on OK to save. Now that we have our program settings configured, let's move on to mod installation. The first method I'll show you is downloading a mod through the Nexus. You can either click on the Access the Nexus button at the top, or you could access the Nexus through your preferred browser. Either method will work. For simplicity's sake, we'll just choose a mod off of the hot files list. Simply click on the Files section, choose the main file, click on Download with Manager. And as you can see here in the Downloads tab in the right pane, the mod has been downloaded. A green message will pop up at the bottom saying Done. Double click to install. This indicates that the mod has not been installed yet, so double click just like it says. You can choose to rename it or keep the name that it has for the mod. Clicking OK will automatically install the mod. However, one of the nice features about Mod Organizer is allowing more control over mod installation. Many users will prefer to click on the Manual button, and it will bring up a window showing what the file tree looks like for the mod. What you do in this window can make or break the mod. It allows complete control over what components are installed, what components are not installed, and also allows the user to set up the file structure for mods that are not packaged correctly, so that they'll work properly through Mod Organizer. When a box is checked, that means the components of the mod is going to be installed. When the box is unchecked, that means those components will not be installed. For example, I have the ESP and the readme checked for this mod, which means that the ESP and the readme will be installed. However, I have the message tree unchecked, which means it will not be installed. In order for this mod to function correctly, I will need to recheck the meshes, which will in turn check all the boxes underneath it. If I want to take a look at the readme before installing the mod, I can right click and select Open, which will open up a readme note. For most mods, Mod Organizer can tell if the file structure looks good, and it will say so in green at the bottom. It will give a red warning if the mod structure does not look good, and let the user know that changes in the file structure need to be made before the mod can be installed properly. When everything looks okay, click on OK, and it will install the mod, as you can see here in the left pane. Now that the mod is installed, it has to be activated. To activate the mod, simply click on the box beside it. Once the check mark is in the box, the mod is activated. Then come to the right pane and check for ESPs and BSAs that came with the mod. If the mod installed an ESP or a BSA, it will show up in the ESP and BSA tab in the right pane, as you can see here. This mod came with an ESP plugin, so I will check that to activate the ESP. The mod did not come with a BSA, so we can disregard this tab. Now the mod is ready for use. The second installation method allows a mod to be downloaded manually and then manually installed. Simply click on the button in the top left corner, install a new mod from an archive, and locate a mod that was downloaded manually through the Nexus or from another website. Select the mod and then click Open, and it brings up the same window as the earlier mod did when selecting manual installation. For most mods, you can just simply select OK and install the mod if you have the green to go message at the bottom. However, you may have noticed that this has a big red message saying no gain data on top level. This means that the mod is packaged incorrectly for Mod Organizer to install. This usually happens whenever a mod is packaged with an extra data directory. To fix this problem, take any of the optional files, put them into the data directory that we will be setting, right-click on data, and then set data directory. Be sure to right-click on the data directory that will have all of the files in it. Once your data directory has been set, click OK. Once again, when installation is complete, activate the mod and check for any plugins that the mod installed, and activate those as well. If you explore the profile pane a little bit, try right-clicking on a mod and you'll see a host of options that you can select. You can choose to enable all visible mods or disable all visible. I'll show as an example. Now all of the mods installed are deactivated. Enable all visible. All mods in the profile are activated now. You can check all mods for updates. You can refresh the mod list. You can set the categories of a selected mod. You can rename a mod, remove a mod, reinstall the mod just in case something happens that shouldn't, visit the mod in the Nexus, open and explore, or click on information at the bottom for extra information related to the mod. One of the settings functions was to allow the use of a user-preferred external browser for certain functions of the Mod Organizer. A good example is when right-clicking on a mod and then selecting Visit on the Nexus. As you can see, it took me to the mod page on the Nexus using my external browser, in this case Firefox, instead of using the built-in browser from Mod Organizer. Two extremely important functions when right-clicking on a mod are Open and Explore and Information. If you come to find out that a mod was installed improperly, or if you want to make some changes to it by modifying a file tree, adding certain files, or deleting certain files, click on Open and Explore. And this gives the user direct access to all the files installed through Mod Organizer. Also, right-clicking on a mod and selecting Information brings up a window with several tabs that may come in handy for various reasons. Text files, any files, images, optional ESPs, conflicts, categories, Nexus info, notes, file tree. All of these can be used to your advantage. For example, if I right-click on Requiem, select Information, and then go to Optional ESPs, you'll see two windows, one at the top and one at the bottom. Now the top window shows all the optional ESPs that were installed by the mod, but not activated by Mod Organizer. Now if I decide that I want to use one of these optional ESP plugins, I can simply click on it, and then click on the down arrow, and then select Close. And as you can see, the optional ESPs came up in my ESP tab on the right pane. Simply click on them to activate them, and they will be loaded with the game when launching. Back to the mod information window, a couple of things I wanted to go over real quick that will be helpful to beginning users. By clicking on the File Tree tab, this is another method besides initial installation and kickstarting an Explorer to modify the file structure of an installed mod. Simply add, delete, drag and drop, or make any changes that you feel necessary to make the mod work as intended, and then click on Close to save. By clicking on the Nexus Info tab, it will access any information for the mod from the Nexus page. The Categories tab will allow you to set the category or to change the category of the selected mod. And the Conflicts tab can be extremely useful. If you find that a mod is not working as intended, or if you want to make sure that the mod overwrote some files from another mod as intended, you can check this tab for troubleshooting purposes. Once all mods have been installed and activated, there are a few different ways to set the load order as well as mod priority. The most recommended method is to simply launch BOSS through Mod Organizer by clicking on BOSS and then clicking on Run. Any changes made by BOSS will be reflected in your ESP tab. It will set the recommended load order, and it will also be reflected by the priority number being changed for the respective plugins. Another method is simply drag and drop. If you find that BOSS does not order your plugins as required, you can simply click on a plugin and then drag it wherever is required. And to further control your load order, you can set priority on a mod. You'll see a priority tab in the left profile pane. Simply click on the mod once, and then click on the priority number a second time, and it will allow you to set it by a number. Another thing that is unique about Mod Organizer is the use of profile lists. As you can see, I have two profiles, my Death Nico profile and the default profile automatically made by Mod Organizer. Death Nico profile is selected right now, and I have Mage Backpack and Requiem installed and activated on this profile. However, let's say I have a save file that I want to play that does not require either one of these two mods, and I don't want these two mods in my save. So I can simply go to my default profile, and as you can see, the mods are installed, but they're not activated. I can then play with the respective save file without having to worry about mod conflicts. Another unique feature of Mod Organizer is being able to control BSA plugin load order. For example, if I click on the Dawnguard ESM, you'll notice a red symbol beside Dawnguard BSA. I can then select the Dawnguard BSA to properly activate it, and it will give the BSA the same priority as a loose file. However, if I deactivate it, you'll see that the red warning label is still there. The BSA will still be loaded, however, it will not be given the same priority as it will be when activated. In general, it is recommended that if a BSA has a red symbol beside it, go ahead and activate it to avoid any problems. Now, some of you may have noticed in the profile pane on the left hand side, an overwrite mod. This is basically a pseudo mod, and as I'm reading out of the pop-up window, this pseudo mod contains files from the virtual data tree that got modified, i.e. by the construction kit. This overwrite folder basically holds things such as a bash patch created through rybash or modified plugins through the creation kit, so that the overwrites will actually work in-game. If you've modified a plugin through the creation kit, or if you've created a bash patch, it's generally a good idea to check the overwrite folder to make sure that Mod Organizer is registering the changes made, so that it'll be loaded properly in the game. Another useful place to check for any sort of data information is the Data tab in the right-hand pane. This tab will ultimately show that any files that were installed by a mod were installed correctly and will be loaded properly in the game. So if you install a mod and are having trouble getting it to work properly in the game, you can come to this tab and make sure that the files that were installed by the mod are actually being loaded by Mod Organizer. This section is also useful because it will show which mods are having conflicts. You may have noticed at the very top that Requiem for changelog and credits text is highlighted in red. The reason behind it being that the same files can also be found in data. Remember to keep in mind that not all conflicts have to be bad. Some of them are actually intended. This is simply a way to check for conflicts that are not intended so that they can be rectified to fix broken mods. The last thing I want to show you is the Saves tab. The Saves tab will show which save files are loaded by the profile selected. As you can see, whenever I go to my default profile, there are no save files loaded in the Saves tab, because I have not started a game with the default profile. However, if I load up my Death Nico profile, a save game from a game that I ran on this profile is shown in the tab. If you put the mouse over the save file, it will show useful information such as the save number, the character name, the level of your character, your location, date the save file was made, and any missing ESPs. This is actually pretty useful for troubleshooting purposes because once a mod is saved, and that save file is going to become dependent on that mod being installed. If that mod is uninstalled, then it is going to leave traces, or the save may not continue working as intended. So if you uninstall a mod, due to whatever reasons there may be, and you forget to reinstall the mod, and you find that something is missing in your save game, or your save game is not functioning correctly, then it will actually show up in the missing ESP section. For example, if I were to deactivate these mods in the left-hand pane, and then mouse over my save file, you'll notice that the missing ESPs now has ESP plugins listed underneath it. Two ways I can fix this are the easy way and the hard way. The hard way would be going back over to my profile pane, and then reactivating the mods one by one, and then coming in here and reactivating the missing ESPs. Or, I could simply right-click and then select Fix Mods, which will bring up a window showing which mods are missing and allow you to automatically reactivate all the missing mods and ESP plugins that are missing. Well guys, that is pretty much it for this tutorial video on how to install and use Mod Organizer. I realize there are quite a few things that I have not yet covered, such as Skyprop patchers and troubleshooting conflicting mods. Please do not worry, I will be showing these things and quite a few more in a future video that will be directed towards more advanced users of the program. And hopefully the next video will be able to answer any questions that this video did not cover. For those of you that are being introduced to Mod Organizer for the first time, I wish you the best of luck, and I hope you enjoy the program, and I hope this video was able to help in any way. And for those of you that have been using Mod Organizer for a while, I hope that you enjoyed the refresher video. And guys, I'll be honest with you, this is my first time ever recording anything, so it's been a bit of a shoot in the dark for me so far. I really do hope that y'all enjoyed the video. Please be gentle with me, and I look forward to recording the next one. Take care.